the union executive. The union means the act of being united. Union means the act of being united. Or union means an association. Union means an association. So union means as association. Executive means those people who puts into action the laws which were formed within the legislature or the parliament. Okay, whatever laws were formed or enacted within the parliament, they were followed, or you can say these peoples puts into action or execute these laws. So united means union is united. Executive means those people who enact laws passed by the parliament. So united executive means not only a single person, but there were many who were involved in this. So let's begin this chapter. Hello and welcome viewers. The union executive, lesson number 4. So as I just now told you that the union executive it is not of a single person. Okay, I'm not talking about a single person or a single ruler or dictator or president or something like that. Okay, I'm talking about union executive, where it means that there were several people. So number 1 comes president, then comes vice president, and then comes prime minister, and then other council of ministers. So these were all termed as union executive. I told about 4 things. Okay, number 1 is president, number 2 is vice president, number 3 is prime minister, and council of minister, number 4. These were union executive. As I told, union means association or united. Okay, or executive here means those who enact the laws or puts into action. Okay, puts into action those laws which were passed by the parliament. So now at first I told president, vice president, prime minister, and council of ministers. So you can see the council of ministers consists of 3 ministers or ministries: cabinet ministers, ministers of state, and deputy ministers. Cabinet ministers, minister of state, and deputy ministers. So these were the 3 part of council of ministers. Okay, please keep it on your mind. Within council of minister there were 3 types, so 3 classification is there, division is there. One is cabinet ministers, minister of state, and deputy ministers. So now first of all we will talk about the first executive. Who is the first executive? That is the president. Then only we will go for the vice president and others. So president, we'll talk about the president. Before going to the president, you must have to know that India is a parliamentary form of government. As India is a parliamentary form of government, there were 2 separate heads. One is head of state, another is head of the government. Head of state is president, whereas head of government is the prime minister. That means most of the work is done by the head of the government, that is the prime minister. Okay, president is the head of the state and he is only a figurehead. Okay, whatever he will do, he or she will have to concern the prime minister and the council of ministers first. So let's talk about the president. He or she is the head of state. Head of government is prime minister. He or she is bound by the constitution. That means he need to follow the advice of the prime minister and the council of ministers. Now let's talk about the qualification of the president. He must be above the age of 35 years and all other conditions, okay, which were mandatory for the qualification of members of Lok Sabha. That is, he must be in a good condition, good mental condition. He must not have some other government jobs. Okay, these kind of things were there for the qualification of members of Lok Sabha. So all and above the age of 35 years he must be. Then only he can be the president of India. The next is how is the president elected. So how is the president elected? President is elected with the help of an electoral college. it doesn't mean college here doesn't mean that some college or something like that. College here means collaboration. Okay, so electoral college here you can see there were members of both houses of parliament. Both houses of parliament means Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. Okay, both houses of members, and the legislative assemblies and legislative council. Legislative assemblies were in the states like Assam, Bihar, Mizoram, Manipur. You could see there you'll get legislative assemblies and legislative councils in Bihar, Uttar Pradesh, and all you'll get it. Okay. So of all the states and union territories, though it's a state or union territories, whatever is there, whosoever were the members, they must have to join in the electoral college for the election of the president. That is, the electoral college decides who will become the next president of India. That is about the election of the president. Now let's talk about the term of office. After he is being elected, president used to stay in office for 5 years. Okay, for a term of 5 years he or she is elected, but he can be re-elected too. Okay, only if they agree. And then if during his term of 5 years he or she want to resign, then he or she can. So how he will resign? He can resign by giving the resignation letter of his or her to the Vice President of India, and later the Vice President of India will forward it to the Lok Sabha Speaker. Okay, and if President of India loses, you could say loses the trust of the Parliament, then there is a process to throw him out of his position. That is the impeachment process. Impeachment process is the same process through which judiciary and all other executives can also be thrown out from their position. Next, we'll talk about the powers of the president. Powers of the president. There were different powers of the presidents. That is, the executive powers, the legislative powers, the judicial powers, and even some emergency powers were also there. But you must have to keep it on your mind that whatever powers were there, most of the powers need not allow him to do it. He can do that only by taking permission or by consultation from the Prime Minister and Council of Ministers. So let's talk about the executive powers of the president. So executive powers of the president, the first powers you could see that president invites the majority party leader to form the government. For example, election was there. After the election, must be there is some party who is in majority. The party who is in majority, the president will call the leader of that majority party and tells him to form a government. Okay, and he will also appoint the Council of Ministers on the advice of the Prime Minister. So Prime Minister, what he will do? The leader he is calling means the leader is the Prime Minister, and leader will be the Prime Minister, and he is. So later on, after consulting the Prime Minister, he will also select the Council of Ministers. So next executive power is he or she can appoint the governor of his states, the Attorney General. Attorney General means the legal advisor. Attorney General means the legal advisor. Okay, legal advisor to the government. The Auditor General, the Chief Election Commissioner, and many others, etc. He can do it. Even the High Court and Supreme Court judges also gets appointment with the help of the President's signature only. Okay, so the President, next one, the President is the supreme commander of the armed forces, and he or she is the one who appoints the three chiefs of the air. Okay, air, Navy, air, Navy, and Army. So Army Chief, Air Chief Marshal, Army Chief, Navy Chiefs were there. Those were all appointed with the help of the president. Next one, the president as head of the state can declare war or can go for peace too, okay, and can conclude treaties with other countries. They can sign treaties with other countries for some reasons, okay. He can declare war also. But you must have to remember, as I told, that all these powers, all these executive powers can only be exercised with the help of the Prime Minister and the Council of Ministers only. Now let's talk about the legislative powers. So legislative powers, the president summons and prorogues. Prorogues means discontinue or to stop, okay, all the sessions of the parliament and address the first session of the parliament every year. He or she must have to address the parliament every year, and even he can discontinue it also. Now no bill can become a law till president didn't sign it. That is also an important thing. You have to keep it on your mind. Without the approval or signature of him, it is not possible to become a law. The president promulgates ordinances when the parliament is not in session. He can directly promulgate ordinances if there is no session in the parliament. When within parliament there are 3 sessions, so in between of some sessions some emergency work, and then the president can do that. When there is a deadlock of the parliament over a particular bill, deadlock means the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha, they were not agreeing for some particular reason. So what the president will do, he will call for a joint sabha or joint party meeting, okay. What will happen there they will decide, within that joint session they will decide that what will be the best for that particular deadlock. Deadlock means a law need to be formulated, but neither the Lok Sabha is agreeing nor the Rajya Sabha is agreeing, so that bill is in the deadlock. So for that he can call for a joint session. Next is the president can dissolve the parliament on the advice of the Council of Ministers. President can dissolve the parliament on the advice of the Council of Ministers. The Council of Ministers can advise the Prime Minister so that he can dissolve it. Dissolve the parliament. Dissolve the parliament means to cancel the parliament sessions. Now next is the judicial powers. What is there in the judicial power? Within the judicial power we have seen that somewhere we have seen that the president signed the mercy petition of some convicts, okay. So those who were in jail, those who were inside the jails, they were having life death sentences, okay. So those death sentences can be transferred into life imprisonment. It can be done with the help of the president only, okay. That is called mercy petition. In many movies it is there. Now let's talk about the emergency power. Emergency power are also same, okay. On the advice of the Prime Minister and Council of Ministers only, the president can do these all things. What are those? There were 4 points. Number 1 is, if there is a situation of a civil war, when all the peoples are fighting with each other, that is a civil war type situation, during that time he can declare emergency with the with the advice of the Prime Minister and the Council of Ministers. Next point is, if there is an external force, some other countries were creating some kind of nuisance or problems within our country, during that time also the president can declare emergency with the advice of the Prime Minister and Council of Ministers. If there is a breakdown in the constitutional machinery of a particular state, in such a situation also the president will impose president's rule in the affected state. Suppose in a particular state some problem, some breakdown was started, like in Jammu and Kashmir, and sometimes in Assam also it happened, in Arunachal Pradesh also it happened, in other states also it happened, okay. So what happened during the time? The government falls down instantly, and due to which the president rule was started on the advice of the governors and all. The next, the last point, if there is a threat to the financial stability of the country. Financial stability means regarding money, okay. If there is any difficulty regarding money within our country, then the president can declare emergency on the advice of the Prime Minister and the Council of Ministers. Thank you for today. I hope you understand. The next part will come soon.